huge stories of the night has been Nigel Farage, frankly, and Reform pulling in, what, a big share of the vote? How many seats it's going to translate into, we're not sure. But, of course, Nigel Farage won his seat, Clacton. Mark White was there to witness a little bit of history in the making, Mark.
Well, indeed, welcome to Clacton Seafront. This is now Nigel Farage's manor. He really won very convincingly today, and he overturned a majority of almost 25,000 from Giles Watling, who, of course, had that stonking majority in the 2019 election. But Nigel Farage came away after a relatively short campaign, of course, joining it late, with 8,500 almost as a majority, and he will be joined in Westminster by at least 3 other Reform MPs. Richard Tice, the former leader of Reform, being elected up there in Boston and Skegness. Lee Anderson, the former deputy chairman of the Tory party, who crossed over to Reform, was returned in Ashfield pretty comfortably, and of course we had Rupert Lowe also returned in Great Yarmouth. So a good day or night so far for Reform. I have to say that the earlier estimates from the exit polls have been revised downwards now by pretty much all of the broadcasters to no more than about 4 or 5. Now, I spoke to Reform a week ago, and they said that if they got any more than 3 MPs returned, they'd be very happy. So, well, they've got 4, not the 13 that they were hoping for perhaps at the beginning of the night, but that will again just fuel the drive that Nigel Farage and his party have for electoral reform, because if you look at it, they are standing currently on about 15% as a share of the vote. The Liberal Democrats are on about 11% as a share of the vote. They're going to, by all accounts, return about 50 or so MPs, whereas Reform will be 4 or 5 at the most. So you can see why Nigel Farage believes that the first past the post voting system is just stacked against parties like Reform. That will be a central plank of what Reform will be arguing for when they take up their seats in the House of Commons.
OK, Mark, thanks very much indeed. Hopefully we'll be hearing from Nigel before too long as well for a nice in-depth interview, because, I mean, he's done it at last.
He's done it at last. I mean, he's tried and failed, I think, 7 times, but now 8. I think this is